Hello and welcome to our first installment of Conversations, a place where we bring around, or I bring my own experience into this little homecoming space to share things that are on my heart, on my mind, and things that I want out in the world. So bear with me today, but today I'm really excited to share this conversation around advocacy in pregnancy, or using your pregnancy as a form of activism. And what I mean by that is really utilizing the portal of pregnancy to decide what kind of world do I want to live in, what kind of world do I want my children to grow up in, and how do I want to behave in that world. And I'm going to share this from the lens of my own experience with my most recent pregnancy and birth, which was a technically wild pregnancy and free birth, which is not necessarily, I don't need to classify that, but just to let you know sort of where I'm coming from. So this idea of pregnancy as a form of activism kind of came to me while I was pregnant, because I wouldn't necessarily call myself an activist. I certainly have, my idea of the type of world I want to live in and how, my values. I have a value system, I would say, but I certainly, I'm not out there protesting or doing, those sort of real acts of showing up, those what I would consider activism. Just having a coffee as well. So what I really want to talk about is just utilizing the beautiful portal of pregnancy to really root into our own value system, really figure out who we are, what we want to see in the world, how we want to behave, and how we want our children to interact with the world, what kind of world we want to bring our children up in. And I'm closing my eyes now because I feel, if for some reason it feels safer to me to just like spill out what's on my heart. So I'm going to do that. But when it comes to pregnancy, I think we all know, we've talked about before, that pregnancy is a portal. Pregnancy is an opening. Pregnancy is an expanding force. And really, for me, specifically why we created Homecoming was because pregnancy is where it all begins. We talk a lot about birth and postpartum, and because those are such obvious shifts, those are such obvious physical and mental challenges and transitions for us as women and our families as well. But pregnancy is something where it's slower, it's more gradual, and you don't really see it. You sort of, that a baby's growing inside, but how often do we actually acknowledge the fact that our body is building another body from seemingly nothing? Every single day, our bodies are building skin and bones and teeth and like eyeballs and hair. It's just so wild to me that our bodies literally build other human beings with very little mental effort, other than the transition that it does ask of us. So pregnancy is truly a homecoming because we are forced to go inward. And anybody who's been pregnant before might be able to attest to the fact that there is a sort of subconscious retreating that happens in pregnancy. And this sort of pull to kind of be a little more alone, a little more in solitude, and a little bit safer. We may not recognize that that's what that is, but in my first pregnancy, looking back, my feelings of just like not fitting in, and feelings of just like not caring about work anymore, and feelings of just like, what is going on? Like, why can't I bring myself to do this thing that I've, should be doing or have always done? And those little moments are your body and your brain really kind of bringing you inward, because biologically we're designed to create, sustain, nurture, grow, raise life. And that's what our bodies are wired to do. And so this real internal pull is real. And there's a reason for it. It's not just this annoying thing that happens in pregnancy. That's not just, haha, pregnancy brain. It's no. I am a primal being, and my body is going inward and doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Exactly what it's been designed to do. And it's doing it without me mentally. Like it's the one time in life that we can't really override our body. It's happening whether we like it or not. And looking back on my 2 pregnancies, I think that's pretty freaking beautiful. And as I've talked to more women that have had similar experiences, I found that the second pregnancy can be even deeper, can be even more. So for me, my first pregnancy was such an opening. It was a real like, whoa, okay, like it just really opened my eyes, my heart, and my body to what is possible in this world. And then my second pregnancy, I knew even before I got pregnant that I wanted to do it differently, that my values had changed and that my desires were more rooted in my own versus what I thought I should be doing. And so I knew that I wanted to do it differently. But when I became pregnant, I kind of had this further need to do it differently. And to me, that looked like zero involvement in my pregnancy. So I did have a midwife, but it looked like zero like medical, not intervention, but just like I didn't have any tests, I didn't have any ultrasounds. And I know that's not for everyone, but for me, it was just like, I need to do this outside of the system that we currently have, because not necessarily because I had this big thought of, oh, the system we currently have is wrong, but I had this real need for my own self to do it outside of that system, because there was a more natural way for me, there was a more true way for me, and there was a more true way for my baby. So I felt like I wasn't just myself, I was being guided by other entities, or however you want to look at it. But it really sort of came to me that I could use this pregnancy and use the beautiful opportunity that I'm being given to go as deeply inward as I could, to really find the root of who I am and the type of world that I want to leave and create for my children. And it had to start with me. It had to start with me following my own wants, needs, desires, and truth. And it was really, really, really hard. There was a lot of moving through emotions and guilt and shame and fear and all of these things around what it actually looks like to have a pregnancy and a birth that's outside of our typical system in North America. And I learned so much about myself and about who I am. And I had so many beautiful people show up in my life to continue to encourage me, because there was lots of times that I could have easily just not continued and, just done it the quote unquote normal way. But I really felt that if I didn't follow myself in this pregnancy, in this birth, at the end, because this was like right up till the end, I was questioning, but I really felt that if I didn't follow myself, then I would be doing a huge disservice to not only me, but my children and my child that was growing within me. And so what I want this conversation to do is, my intention with it is to inspire you to trust that the pull within is real, that the pull within is there. And I want to just show another way that's possible as well. And the idea of using it as activism is really about this gentle change, this gentle way that we can simply live for ourselves and in turn live for the rest of the world. Because when we all live in our truth and we all move forward from a place of the self and trust in ourselves, then we inadvertently also trust each other, trust the world. And I think when we trust each other and trust ourselves, that trust just like softens everything and allows it to open up. And I just know that if every woman in the world knew her power, knew her capability, knew what she was built for, we could have so much more softness and less stress and more energy and more vitality and more love within all that we move through as women and have been, learning over decades and decades and decades that we are supposed to endure and actually find what we are actually built for and actually designed for and primally here for. This is supposed to be a beautiful experience. And if we don't have a beautiful experience, then that filters into the rest of the world, that filters into the way we raise our children, that filters into the way that we show up in the world. And it all starts with us. And so I really feel like pregnancy can be the ultimate form of activism and the ultimate form of paving your own way, because it is the deepest you will ever go within yourself. It is the most open you will ever be to yourself. And it is the most safe you will ever be, because you've created this sort of subconscious, energetic protection around yourself, which again is a primal thing as you grow and birth and sustain life. And so with that, let's move into the day. I really want to just move into the day and feel the power of this conversation. And this isn't about rah, go protest and things like that. If that's your vibe, go for it. But what it really is just this internal reminder that you are everything that you need, and wherever you're being pulled, whether it's to rest, whether it's to retreat, whether it's to speak on something, whether it's to birth in a certain way, whether it's to, go to this appointment or not, whether, wherever you are being pulled, even if it feels uncomfortable and wrong or, not normal and not of the norm, I want you to know from this conversation that you can trust yourself. You can trust yourself, and wherever you are being pulled is exactly where you need to be pulled. And the discomfort that we feel in this pull to these areas that are scary or uncomfortable, or you're feeling sort of a fear of what if or something like that, these are all feelings that we are able to move through in our pregnancy. So we need to utilize this pregnancy. We can use this pregnancy as an opportunity to dig deep. And I think I'll leave it there today, but just thank you for joining me. And I don't know if I'll be recording from my car next time, but probably. And I hope these conversations inspire. I hope they ignite, and I hope that they allow you to find a gentle safety within your own body, because that's exactly my intention for all of us. I love you. Thank you for being here.